In issue 19 of Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers comic run, we've gotten a glimpse into the origins of Megatron. Not everything here is brand new, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Megatron is a revolutionary, which we've seen many times. He has a knack for violence, also pulled from previous continuities. So what exactly is different about this Megatron? Well, it's the fact that he is a slave. Once again, many previous iterations of Megatron have him originating from a place of servitude, whether it be in the guise of a corrupted government or simply from being a gladiator that must kill to survive. So Megatron's origins as a trapped individual is not something groundbreaking, but as per usual, Daniel Warren Johnson takes what we already know about these characters and twists them in subtle new ways. Rather than focusing on how Megatron became the revolutionary we know him to be, Johnson focuses on how weak Megatron is in the face of an unknown god. In issue 18, Megatron returns, and even with a missing arm and sight granted to him via Laserbeak, he is still the most imposing figure on the page. Megatron towers over everyone else, and it only takes a few words from his mouth to make everyone stop in their tracks. Megatron is a monument of fear and respect. So it's funny that in issue 19, he's nothing but a small, weak speck of dust compared to the Quintesson persecutor Desimir. Megatron is constantly drawn as smaller and lesser in juxtaposition to Desimir. Guest artist Ludo Lalabi brings his own style to the comic, just as we saw Jason Howard do for issues 13 and 14. Aside from guest artists being common in the comics industry, they are used cleverly in this series to denote a different time. Lalabi's more flexible-looking Cybertronians gives us a younger, leaner, and more aggressive Megatron than what we know him to be today. It's fitting, as he must learn his lesson from an unseen, dark master. Megatron fights over and over only to be constantly defeated. He's a great warrior, but he is not enough. He cannot save his planet. Desimir feeds on these insecurities to his own advantage, saying that Megatron should not beg, as it is unbecoming. Megatron bursts out in rage, claiming that he is a slave to no one, and yet, in the next few pages, he becomes exactly that. Desimir's Dark Master grants Megatron the gift that will win him the Cybertronian Civil War. But first, it must be tested on someone. Desimir is chosen to be that subject, as he begs Megatron not to destroy his beloved Mechanicore, something that is unbecoming. But the true message of this issue comes at the very end of its pages. Megatron has been set loose upon his home, and he intends to save it by his own hand, or by the hands of others. We see in the final panel that Starscream is holding Megatron in his gun mode, and we cannot help but feel a pit grow in our stomachs. But why this feeling? Is it solely because we know the tragedy of Starscream's origin? Well, partially yes, but it's also the irony of Megatron's story too. This great warrior claims to be a slave to no one and believes in it in such a way that he willfully uses his own power to enslave others. Megatron sees himself as the master, the one in control. Of course, others must wield him, but he is in control. Or is he? It's clear that Megatron, the weapon, is the true downfall of those like Starscream, and yet, ironically, Megatron really holds no power at all. He has been given a gift from a dark god to control others, but in reality, he is the slave himself. A slave to violence, a slave to an unknown master. Megatron, no doubt, was violent before his encounter with Desimir, as we see that he is a skilled fighter. And while we have not been given the specifics, I think it's safe to assume that Megatron was already going down the path of resistance when it came to Cybertron's political issues. Megatron must have seen this power as a divine moment in his life, a calling to finally make a difference for his people. But he, just like Starscream, is merely a pawn in a larger game he cannot fully understand. Daniel Warren Johnson loves to add tragic backstories to characters, but he also understands the importance of a villain being, well, a villain, as we see with someone like Shockwave. Megatron is the bad guy of this comic, no doubt. I'm not here to defend him as a misunderstood product of a broken system like he is masterfully portrayed as in Transformers 1. We simply do not have enough information on this iteration to make that judgment. But we can see the irony and tragedy of a strong warrior with true intentions corrupted by the endless cycles of violence. A cycle that he perpetuates on all those around him. So issue 19 was definitely interesting. My full thoughts are over on the Teletran Tapes episode 5 podcast. As a little spoiler to that, I enjoyed the issue, but there were some issues that I had with it. I need to stop saying I had issues with the issue. We get it. Anyways, I still do love seeing the origin of Megatron. I love the character that Daniel Warren Johnson is building. I love this kind of, ethos, and again, as I said in my last Megatron video, this almost kind of religious zealot idea that he's bringing to the character, that people just really kind of blindly follow him and think that he, is the one true way, something that even he believes in. And so it'll be interesting to see if Johnson kind of includes that he's been given this ability by this Dark Master, if maybe he thinks like he's the chosen one. I think that would be a really cool way to kind of move his character forward, that he, has this idea in his head that he has been chosen by some entity, far beyond his own understanding to save his planet, even though Desimir told him he can't. Also, Desimir and Mechanicor, super awesome. Hasbro, probably never getting a figure of that, but Hasbro, please, both of those guys would be super cool to get. If I may, I just also want to plug something. We recently hit 20,000 subscribers, and I'm so thankful and happy. On top of that, kind of as a celebration for that, I just released my first Transformers fan audiobook. It's called Transformers Atonement. It's a story about a post-war Optimus Prime living on Earth and kind of his struggles with what has happened in the war and what is happening back home on Cybertron after the Civil War has ended. If you haven't seen it, please go take a listen to it. It was a huge passion project that I got to do with some other great creators such as TFI Creations, Orion Zaxxas, and the wonderful, wonderful artist Cheesy Cryptid over on Instagram. There are going to be more videos like that. I've already started writing a few more stories. I obviously love Skybound. These kind of fan stories I make take a lot of inspiration from Skybound, and so they just kind of live in their own universe, and I think you'd like it. If you enjoy listening to me talk about these comics, then maybe you would also enjoy listening to an original story that I put together with some other great creators here on this platform. But anyways, thanks again so much, especially for 20k subs. Hope to continue to grow, and we're going to keep on Skybound as well as a few other videos here on the channel. Thanks, and see you later.